Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Noemi Conaway, and I'm presenting my capstone business plan titled Dig Deeper Diabetes Education Center. This is the center's capstone project business plan that is designed to address diabetes in Arizona using accessible, evidence-based, diabetes-centered education services. Our mission here is to empower individuals in Arizona with evidence-based education and personalized support. Our vision is to become the leading community-focused diabetes education center and provider in the state of Arizona. Dig Deeper offers diabetes evidence-based services and support through in-person workshops, also telehealth consultations, group sessions, as well as digital platforms. We also look to incorporate modern diabetes technology, which includes the very used continuous glucose monitors, connected insulin pens, telemonitoring, and of course, insulin pump usage. Currently, our core services offer personalized sessions, which will ultimately be assisted through hybrid form, where they will be offered in person or virtually to provide education resource, including tech support and lifestyle change programs aligned with the National Diabetes Prevention Program protocols. All of these services are to be as inclusive as possible towards our population here in Arizona in order to offer those services as as abundantly as possible to our community here. As we proceed through services, we do need to understand our customer base as well as our stakeholders. Our key stakeholders include healthcare providers, as well as the insurers and the Arizona Public Health programs and technology partners that are thriving within the state of Arizona. Our primary customer base really includes mainly the adults that are affected by diabetes, whether it be type 1 or type 2, individuals with prediabetes as well as their caregivers, because regardless if an individual is affected by diabetes or taking care of their own diabetes, there are other individuals around their supporting environment that are affected as well that would like to learn how to best assist. Our competitive environment, although it is small, it is still strategic, and we need to consider that as well. Currently, within an economic base, the diabetes costs within the United States are relatively high right now, and we have to be very mindful of that. Technologically based, a lot of the, say, CGMs or integrated devices like insulin pumps with the associated CGMs, and telehealth communications are really big game changers that also provide some type of support to their customers as well. And then culturally, it is difficult to not just see these rising diabetes numbers within the state of Arizona, but also within the Hispanic population, which affects myself as well here in the state of Arizona. So we have to be very mindful of those considerations as well as regulatory guidelines. But there must be some compliance towards guidelines that are necessary to be followed here in the state of Arizona, and those must be met through the American Diabetes Association, the Center for for Disease Prevention and Control, as well as their diabetes self-management education service standards. Those are changed yearly and they must be followed impeccably in order to continue to provide services to our members. And lastly, our insurers, Medicare and AZ licensures say self-insurers are there to support, but they're also creating their own types of competitive environments. And with that, our competitors specifically are going to be the more hospital-related DSMES programs that are available. They are kind of the beginning forces that led diabetes initiatives towards learning. They also are supported by the National Diabetes Prevention Program providers, as well as any type of telehealth startups. You may notice that now there are relatively many uh, say web-based portals available to assist in regards to nutrition and care. They are not necessarily guided by diabetes guidelines, but they're still effective and still supportive. So we do have to be mindful that technology is growing, and in such case, we need to grow with it as well, to build those types of partnerships. And following regulation and ethical concerns, as I mentioned, we follow the HIPAA guidelines, American Diabetes Association guidelines, and the CDC's DSMES standards. With that, there are also considerations for the billing rules and the state licensures that have to apply towards different type of educational initiatives that are provided by clinical staff. Those ethical standards that are followed as well include HIPAA. They include the privacy and consent that must be followed for all of the patients that are going to be served by Dig Deeper's educational based resource. And so, following that, we also need to consider the fact that we will be open to be inclusive, be incredibly competent in our cultural bases around us, surrounding the Arizona population, and have non-discriminatory acts available. We always have to be just aware of our environment and make sure that we are also equitable, in which case the hybrid does create an incredible standard for our customers in that we're going to be more accessible towards those individuals that may not be able to attend in-person sessions, either due to transportation, the length of the drive, or if they are part of the older or younger populations that we serve. Furthermore, when we think about our customer base, we also have to understand how we're going to touch their lives. This will fall into our marketing strategy. Thus, our targeted reach source will include social media base, as that is a lot less expensive to consider in regards to the marketing advancements that are here today, and touching the local community through either drives or partnership support within the area. We really want to be able to be seen out there with individuals within the community with their primary care or their provider support, to make sure to emphasize that we are there for them and with them to assist in their educational care for diabetes. We would also like to build on the branding support, whether that be again through social media or through other things, whether they be pamphlets or posters that associate our educational services where they are in person, but also in the technology spectrum. And lastly, those materials, just like I mentioned, the adapted print will be available in different types of languages to build our inclusive support, and make sure that those particular materials are available through different telehealth awareness campaigns in the social media spectrum, but also within the educational space and the healthcare space. So in that consideration, if we're able to build partnerships with different primary care providers and they have portals available, hoping to build on that access, to include our own materials on their sites. As we continue through the business plan itself, Dig Deeper here has to understand that there has to be some type of plan in place for those that are going to build on our landscape and on our initiatives, in which case we do have at least 5 positions that are to be filled prior to begin. One being the clinical project manager, which I would assume myself in order to complete oversight, consider curriculum initiatives and development, as well as start to build our referral base. I would like to include a nurse educator that is also certified within the diabetes care spectrum to conduct these types of programs, whether they be one-on-one or group sessions, either telehealth or in person. And that will also include at least one dietitian on board that is also certified with diabetes care. These dietitians do make a wealth of not bring a wealth of knowledge to the center itself, in that they're not only looking at the inclusive base of care, but also considering the fact that nutrition is always a big thing that needs to be addressed within our community. So offering available nutritional workshops or telehealth consultations from a dietitian is going to be so wonderful to this organization. And then, of course, we have to think of the clerical landscape. The accounts manager will be considering all of the schedules and the appointments involved while also assisting with billing and support. And then finally, a technology and social media based platform associate that will be able to build on our technological space, build on our outreaches within social media platforms, as well as work on our advertising campaign with those primary care physician referrals and with other community initiatives that might be available that we can work towards. And as we proceed, we have to also think of the financial statistics that must be looked at, and the consideration that, yes, it does take money in order to build on such a business plan. Our year staffing and our year projections do lead to a startup fee of at least $200,000 to begin. This includes staff payment, staff payroll, the equipment that must be utilized in order to build on these educational initiatives, our marketing campaign, and just general operational costs. So the startup fee, in essence, is really to get the ball rolling, and then furthermore, those additional costs are going to be built up as the year progresses. Now, of course, we need to understand a revenue source that must apply throughout this first year, and most of that will come from startup loan for new business in order to initiate those fees and cover those fees. But then as we proceed and we start to grow as a company, as an organization, we would look towards insurance reimbursement for the DSMES services that are provided and able to be billed accordingly through codes. The Medicare reimbursement that will be considered, as well as any type of government grants that are available for such educational resources that are there, and that we are aware of. So all of those financial initiatives we must take on to look towards those revenue sources, as well as just understanding that this is going to be investment of our team to build this organization. Thus, in summary, Dig Deeper will provide a wonderful and accessible, culturally responsive, diabetes specific member education services across Arizona. Our next steps, include funding, which I just spoke about, our staffing, which should be implemented very soon, and of course, building our awareness within the community and partnerships within the community in order to again grow and meet the expectations that Arizona has for a diabetes education center and service. I very much appreciate your time and I thank you for your attendance. Have a wonderful day.